Hi, hello. It is me, that divination witch, and I hope you're doing well. Now, this is the second time I'm recording this video because I am a numpty. And I said I had 5 points for you guys, but actually I have 4. And I was 3 points in and then I went, oh, I've only got 4 points. And the points I'm going to make though are, you'll guess by the title, but experiences I've had within witchcraft that when I entered into this, I didn't ever think would happen, and they've kind of blown my mind. I don't want to just say they're crazy because that's not a very nice term to use, but it's stuff that I could never have predicted. And I thought when I first started recording this, I thought of beginners to give you a heads up. And yeah, this could be for beginners, but it could be for anyone. So if you are a witch on a witchy journey of any variety, and if you've had a weird experience like this, leave it in the comments below and share, because I think being forewarned is being forearmed. Because if I knew half of this stuff when I was first getting into things, then I would have been way more careful than I have been. So let's get into it. Okay, if you don't know who I am, hi, my name's Sarah. I go by that divination witch online. I started on TikTok posting readings, and now I'm here on YouTube. I share my spiritual journey and things I have learned along the way in a down-to-earth, practical kind of way. If you like that, please subscribe. I've also got a link tree below, and in the link tree I have an Etsy store where you can get readings from me, and I have a Patreon where you can also get readings from me, as well as hints and tips to do with witchcraft, paganism, deity work, all that good stuff. So if you're interested, I'd be so grateful if you could check them out. Thank you. So yes, 4, not 5, 4 experiences that stick in my head when I think of things I've been through on my witchy journey. The first experience and thing that I still experience to this day are witches on social media who hex people willy-nilly and for no good reason. Like hex happy or baneful working happy. Now, I am not someone who is against baneful working. I just want to preface this. Baneful magic, whether it's a hex or a curse even, you know, that is extreme, but I am not against them if it's justified. And when we say justified, I know that's a big grey area, but if someone has truly wronged you, then, you know, give as good as you get. It's an eye for an eye. That's what I believe in. That's what Hecate has taught me. And Hecate herself, being my main goddess, she is all about justice. And she herself, which I'll get into in another point, but she will not allow her followers to do a hex, a curse, or something baneful if it isn't justified. If her followers do so, it will either not work or backfire onto them. She has stopped things for me even if she felt it wasn't in my highest good, my best interests, or it wasn't justified. She's stopped them working. So what I mean though by being hex happy is, well, number one, there's a section of people, especially sadly on the left hand path, who literally hex people for no reason. So I would say if you want to be a witchy content creator, before you get started, make sure you know how to protect yourself. Get several protections up for yourself, your friends and family, your pets, your children, your social media accounts, your home, everything. There are some unhinged people, especially on TikTok, who will hex people for target practice. I am not even kidding. Half the time these people haven't done anything wrong. Sometimes the person who is doing the hex might think the person's done something wrong, but ultimately it's ridiculous and it's childish in my opinion. And there are the other type of people who I've had brush-ins with who will hex you for online drama. I am not immune to online drama. I don't want it in my life. I try not to have it in my life anymore, but I have had it in my life before, sadly, a few times, especially when I first started on TikTok with other witchy content creators. I have been sent not nice things off them through online arguments and things like this. I have not hexed anybody. I have not done a baneful working on somebody over something frivolous as TikTok or an online argument. However, I have returned that energy to sender, and I feel like I kind of got some, it's a saying where I'm from, a baptism of fire sort of thing. I kind of got chucked into the deep end with that. It was highly unexpected. I didn't think people were that immature. I'm not saying that I am 100% mature myself, because I can give as good as I get. Meaning if we ever got into an argument, you know, I will argue back. That's normally the way I am. And I am pretty opinionated. That's the way I am. But I'm not an a-hole, I don't think. Some people will disagree with that and say I am an a-hole. Not everyone is going to like everyone. That's the way the cookie crumbles. But I'll give you my first example of this. The first time it happened to me was a Scottish witch on TikTok was talking about kilts or something like that. It's so long ago. This was in 2020. But she was talking about how kilts are a closed practice. And I commented saying they're not, and that's ridiculous, because kilts and tartans are sold to tourists. I mean, if you've ever been to Edinburgh, anyone, there's a tartan shop on every corner. So if it was that sacred, Scotland as a whole wouldn't be capitalising on the tartan industry, on that kind of niche of tourism, of getting money through it, you know. Now, I am not Scottish, and looking back in hindsight, I should have just shut up about that, you know. It wasn't my place to say this, no, because I'm not Scottish. But I did. I opened my mouth and I got a hex in return. It is what it is. I wish that person no ill will. It was many years ago now. But to receive something baneful over that is pretty bad in my opinion. But yeah, I have now learned, wizened up, that look, just shut up, Sarah. I want to say things sometimes and I'm like, all right, just let it go. I have to learn to let it go more. That's my problem. Number 2 point, which I kind of touched on there, is spells that backfire. As a beginner, I never thought spells could or would backfire. If anything, I just thought, well, they won't work. If they're not going to work, they just won't work. However, there are times that spells can backfire. And this can be baneful workings like hexes and curses, etc. If the working isn't justified, then it has a potential of backfiring on you, or if you don't do it 100% right. That's why you just don't curse and hex out of anger. Also, love spells and spells to do with controlling people's free will. 9 times out of 10, they backfire. A good example is love spells. So when we say love spells, I mean in the conventional way of you have a crush on someone, you want them to love you, you try and manipulate their free will. Now, the universal law is that everybody has free will and nobody can control that. We have choices and we always will. That's why there's so many religions, etc. You cannot take somebody's free will and make them love you. That's not the way love works. If you do that, it will turn into obsession. And these people, sadly, they will turn into a needy, stalker type person, controlling, abusive, that horrible type of partner that you would wish you've never had. So don't do it, is my advice. There are people out there who do, each to their own, but I personally would say don't do it. I don't believe in like the threefold law, like Wiccans, etc. I don't believe that baneful things are bad per se, like I've explained, if it's justified. But be wary of what spells you're casting and what intentions you're putting out there into the universe, because it could potentially backfire onto you. Right, number 3, didn't realise how bad it was. I suppose it's because of where I come from, but I didn't realise, and I'm sorry if there's anyone who is Christian watching, but how some Christians still blame witches and witchcraft for everything. Especially on YouTube, there's whole ass channels, Christian YouTube channels, who say that witches are doing this, that, the other, and there's numerous videos of ex-witches who say it's all demonic and we all worship the devil and Satan and all this. And I mean, there's some videos I've watched where they've said witches visit people in their dreams to hurt them, and that we're all wicked and evil and all this stuff. Fire and brimstone, scaremongering. I didn't realise how common that was still. I have my personal theory, and this might be a little controversial, but I'm going to say it anyways because, like I've just said, I can't shut up sometimes. But I feel like this is prevalent in America, and that might even stem from, I had a brainwave about this the other day, but the denomination of Christians that were pilgrims way back in the day, I know there's loads of different Christians out there, especially now, but they were Puritans, and Puritans is some of the strictest types of Christians ever. And I mean, we in the UK, we had a Puritan time period which we overthrew because of how strict it was / is. But the Americans didn't really do that, did they? Just saying. Kind of makes sense that a lot of these stricter kind of Baptist, evangelical type Christians are more prevalent in America. I think of the Westboro Baptist Church, for example. I know that's a fringe group, but yeah, didn't realise how prevalent it was, and it's very prevalent still. And my last point, number 4, is when what you want, what you actually wish for, when it actually happens, when your first spell actually happens, it comes into fruition. And I mean, for me, it took a few spells. It wasn't just, okay, my first spells worked, because for all I believe in witchcraft and spirituality, etc., I'm still quite a logical person. I used to be the biggest skeptic there was and question everything, and I still think that's healthy to do so, and I do enjoy questioning everything. But sometimes I think, oh, this is psychology. It's only working because it's like mind over matter sort of thing. It's because I want to look for the meaning in it. I want it to work so much that I'm subconsciously behaving like X, Y, Z. It's not magic. It's not the stuff that I've done, you know, on the spell kind of thing. But actually, while that might be true that yes, there are some mundane, like practical aspects to all of this, and you know, belief is a big thing when it comes to magic, it doesn't mean it didn't work. And there are moments where my mind is literally blown, and not just to do with spells, but even my abilities. Like sometimes I'll channel a spirit, and even now, even though I do this for so many people, I've done thousands of readings for thousands of different people, all walks of life at this point, but it's literally, I don't know how to describe it, but when spirit is showing you things, I always thought, before I got into this, that, like, say if a medium was seeing a spirit, they would physically see them manifest like a man standing there. But it's not always like that. It's in your mind's eye. So I always thought that it was going to be physical apparitions that you see. It's not. Spirit puts things in my head. And sometimes I think, is this my imagination just running wild here, you know? But there are things that have happened that I couldn't make up, you know? The logical mind, the logical side of my mind wants to think, oh, I must have made that up because I knew X, Y, Z. But there is times, even now, I'll do readings for customers, and, you know, I've figured out people's ancestry, and I've only ever known their name. How the heck do I know their ancestry, sorry? Like, I figured out daft things. I can't think off the top of my head. I mean, last night, this is just an example, the Norse goddess Hel was in my space. For a personal reading, I was also on the phone to a witchy friend, and my friend has a dog that is white. And I could hear hell in my head saying that she liked the dog was sweet, and that she had a white dog. Now, I know bits about Norse mythology, but not that much. I am now researching more into Lady Hel, but I didn't know too much about her, just that she's Loki's daughter, goddess of the underworld, Helheim, you know. I didn't realise she actually did have a dog, and it's called Gurn or something, I think. I had to look it up, and like, just that little moment I went, oh my god, you do have a dog. Think of the Greek Cerberus per se, except it's one dog and the dog is white. I didn't know that, like, you know, it's just little things like that happen, and I'm like, how the heck did I know that? Yeah, all these things have took me by surprise, and I just wanted to explain to anyone out there who might be thinking, am I going crazy? Is it just me? Well, I'm sharing my experiences to show you, well, you're not alone. And if you've got experiences that you could share, let me know in the comments. You know, it might help somebody else out there. It's important to know that we're not alone, because not a lot of creators share stuff like this, especially TikTok witches. I'm sorry, I can't say every single TikTok witch is like this, of course not. But a lot of them are kind of, you know, only going to show the good. Let's just say it like that. They're not going to show like their doubts and their insecurities and things that take them off guard. It feels a bit more like an ego thing. I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know. And until next time, stay safe and stay witchy. Bye.